And good evening, everybody, and welcome to another NPCs weekly news live stream. It is December 11th, 2020, and of course, we got some news to talk about this week. First thing on the list, of course, was the Game Awards last night. A lot of big things, won some big awards, a lot of big announcements as well, too, especially all those fun trailers that we all love. We'll be talking about those. Also, Halo Infinite, we finally actually heard some more stuff about it. Kinda. And of course, last but not least, some other news in the world of Xbox as it relates to this coming year. Again, it's December 11th, 2020. We're going to go ahead and roll that intro, get things off for you. All right, everybody, and of course, it is Friday, like I said, and Kyle has joined me through Discord because, certain social distancing restrictions really don't let me just bring random people into my house, and Kyle is definitely a random people. So, Kyle, welcome, as always.
What's up?
Man, we got ourselves some fun stuff to talk about, but of course, as we're going in to talk about the Game Awards here in our first story, before we cut over to that, don't forget, of course, that our podcast going on right now, we've already got 2 episodes up from this last week, and we're going to be carrying on through the end of the year, is we're doing our own Best of Awards for 2022. So please make sure to check out, so far, our episodes have been Best New Game and Best Art Direction. And then this upcoming week, of course, we've got a couple new categories we'll tell you here at the very end of tonight's newscast. So we're going to kick it off here actually with our first story. And again, like I said, we're going to be talking about the Game Awards. We've got actually 2 articles here to look at in regards to the Game Awards. The first one is from Game Informer that did a really just good breakdown of all the awards that were won. And then we've also got another one from Polygon that has all the different trailers for things that were shown off during the event. So Kyle and I were talking about this, of course, though, is we're going to go ahead and read off what won, and then we'll kind of go back and look at the nominee list to see how things looked and see if we actually agree on things. So beginning here at the top of the list, of course, Game of the Year was Last of Us Part 2. Best Game Direction was Last of Us Part 2. Best Narrative was Last of Us Part 2. Best Art Direction was Ghost of Tsushima. Best Score and Music was Final Fantasy VII Remake. Best Audio Design was Last of Us Part 2. Best Performance was Laura Bailey as Abby in Last of Us Part 2. Games for Impact was Tell Me Why by Don't Nod Entertainment. Player's Choice was Ghost of Tsushima. Best Ongoing Game is No Man's Sky. Yay for that beer. Best Indie Game was Hades. Best Mobile is Among Us, which that's an interesting one we'll really need to talk about. I think I want to talk about that one first. Best Community Support was Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. Innovation and Accessibility was Last of Us Part 2. Best VR AR, Half-Life Alyx. Best Action Game was Hades. Best Action Adventure was Last of Us Part 2. Best Role Playing was Final Fantasy VII Remake. Best Fighting was Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate. Best Family Game was Animal Crossing New Horizon. Best Sim Strategy Game was Microsoft Flight Simulator. Best Sports and Racing Game was Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. Best Multiplayer was Among Us. Best Debut Game was Phasmophobia. Content Creator of the Year was Valkyrie. Best Esports Game was League of Legends. Best Esports Athlete is Showmaker from League of Legends. Best Esports Team is G2 Esports from League of Legends. Best Esports Event was League of Legends World Championship 2020. Best Esports Host was, and again, I knew we did this last time as well too, Skaz. I unfortunately don't know. And then Best Esports Coach was Zonic. Unfortunately, it doesn't say what team or what group they were a part of. But that's really what's on the list there. So, Kyle, I'm a little perplexed on this one. This is the one I really want to bring up first. And I know there's a lot of people talking about this as well, is Best Mobile and Best, Best Mobile and Best Multiplayer were Among Us. This is a game that released in 2018 and had no crazy following, anything like that until this year, when it was when it was somehow rediscovered and everybody went crazy for it. Everybody's still going crazy for it. I will admit I play it probably regularly every week. You know, I catch at least a few games while I'm just laying in bed. I can do it on my phone. So I'm kind of curious, like, what do you think on that one? There are a lot of people talking about it. It's like, it's a game that came out in 2018. We're in 2020. Does it really, it deserves some type of recognition, but in 2020, 2 years after it came out.
So here's where I stand. Since it came out, not this year, I don't think it should qualify for best mobile. I'm sure it has plenty of downloads, but I think that should be given to a title that actually came out this this year. I think best multiplayer, that's fine. That could go to anything. That, as far as I'm concerned, if there were more people that still concurrently played Rainbow Six, it could go to that. That's a really supported game too, and I play that off and on. So
true, but it was just one thing that was brought up as kind of a discussion point. I'm not saying that that there's anything wrong with Among Us. Again, it's a game I really like,
right.
And I think that it being rediscovered.
And I'm not actually saying that I would throw Rainbow Six in the pool.
Right, I know. Yeah, you're using it as an example.
I'm using that as an example. Yeah.
Absolutely, no, absolutely. I mean, that's why I'm not fighting with you on it at all. But I think out of everything sticking out here, that's kind of the one that really kind of confused me. I'm not gonna necessarily argue with it because I know that a lot of the choices in here were not necessarily just a committee, but you're also talking about fan votes as well too. And Among Us has actually been a really big game this year because you don't really need to be that good at it to play it and have a great time.
Honestly, who I think should have won best mobile was probably Genshin Impact.
That actually would be a big one. That one was...
Yeah, because it did come out this year. It's a heavily played game. It's heavily supported. I know that when I see Dan on Discord, he's on Genshin Impact.
Oh, yeah, he really is all the time. I've been half tempted to drop him a message while we're recording. It's like, hey, why don't you do something else here and hang out with us for a while? Take a break off of Genshin or something.
Right.
But no, exactly.
I mean, yeah.
I agree. That actually should have been.
I know. Oh, no, I know they've gotten a lot of flack over their pay for system or whatnot, but that's to any game that actually has loot boxes or pay to win or pay to play type scenarios. So.
Yeah, but still, I mean, but you look. I didn't. Like Call of Duty Mobile, I think came out last year, and I think that won best mobile game for last year. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's just saying that it's just interesting that Genshin Impact wasn't picked either. That's actually a very good point.
Yeah.
And
I think it was on the nominees. So. But.
So in regards to the rest of the categories, though, was there anything that stuck out to you in particular that you'd be a little bit more kind of more questioning than anything? Or is there something that just is like, they could have gone this way instead?
One that I would actually kind of question a little bit is content creator. She's more of a Twitch person, right? She just streams.
Yeah, but it seems like every content creator that was nominated was a streamer, at least the majority of them. So like if I go to...
See, and I feel like that should be, when they say content creator, I feel like that should be someone that actually, does YouTube and stuff or, makes videos. But I guess maybe the pool is broadening now, so maybe I shouldn't be so particular.
Yeah, because you've got her.
It is their job too. So
yeah, you've got Valkyrie, who is a YouTuber and live streamer, so she does have her own YouTube channel outside of live streaming. You got Elena Pierce, who was formerly with Funhouse, one of Rooster Teeth's properties, but she is also she actually just recently left Funhouse to go work for Sony Interactive Entertainment as a writer on, I think, the new God of War game. I don't know who J.N. Lopez is, though. But then two of them, which I actually follow, are both content creators and streamers as well, are Nick Merckx and Tim the Tatman, which they primarily stream, and then they just cut their content that they stream over to bite-sized YouTube videos. So instead of sitting there and watching them play a game for 4 hours, you can watch them, watch a highlight of the cool stuff or the funny stuff or the dumb stuff for 10, 15 minutes.
Right.
So there's
I mean, still that they're more as streamers, but
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I am being a little too critical.
Maybe
probably.
you're being too old.
Like I said, yeah. I mean, it's their job too. So
it is. I'm not going to fight you on it because you're not wrong. It is definitely an interesting thing to think about. It's like, what defines a content creator? But no, I'm not going to argue with you. That definitely is a very interesting thing to talk about. But in the rest of these categories, though, I mean, League of Legends really hit hard this year, especially. I mean, the
well, aside from the elephant in the room that hit hard.
Yeah, there's that too. The
yeah,
all their controversies
Last
that
of
came
Us.
out. Yeah, and yeah, Last of Us really. But ultimately, I mean, Last of Us took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 awards.
Dang.
Which, interestingly enough, they took quite a bit here actually. But it's interesting though that No Man's Sky beat out like Fortnite and Apex Legends because Fortnite just finished up their Marvel event and has moved into kind of a mixed bag stuff now. Yeah, Apex Legends has been kind of doing their thing. Warzone has constantly evolved as well too. I mean but.
Which, since you mentioned it, maybe we should go ahead and talk about that elephant. With Sean Murray.
Oh yeah. So
his shock. Well, I interpreted it as shock, but Jeff Keighley announces No Man's Sky, and he's just nonchalantly taking a swig of a beer, like, oh, here we go again, you know, and yeah, I can't imagine what it would have been like, or maybe he did see it coming, but I don't know that. How many times have I talked about that being the one game that burned me? And after watching the show and finishing up at like 3:30 in the morning, I actually reinstalled it last night. So.
Well, here is the I'm going to put this video up here for our audience right now. Here is the actual portion here where they are awarded. I'm just going to jump up to the part. Let's see.
There you go. Forza.
Let's see. Where is it here? Yeah, here we go. Oh, yeah. And he drank a beer. Yeah, here, let's go. There we go. No Man's Sky. Yep. And he's drinking a Corona, and he just puts it down. He's like, oh, hey, that's my time to shine.
I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that. Oh.
It's normally, Twitch is right, Jeff. It's normally Fortnite. It's always Fortnite.
That's funny.
Like, what, you know,
so
that's priceless, that reaction.
We're really lucky, you know, we get to come to work every day and make games.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty funny. And it's definitely one I didn't see coming. But, you know, congrats to them for, you know, making good on everything that they said. You know, I'm glad they didn't abandon the project.
Yeah.
So,
but if you notice though, like I have to look at their cutoff time for future stuff to figure out what, like when does a game have to be released? Like what is the time period that a game has to be released in to actually make it? Because obviously when they did the Game Awards was literally the day of release for Cyberpunk 2077. So that means that it's up for nomination and such, which honestly, between you and me, I'm pretty sure we're probably going to see that one win quite a few awards at the 2021 event. But who knows? Maybe something amazing will come out in between that time. But going through the lists here of what was nominated in each category. So Game of the Year, again, was won by Last of Us Part 2. We also had Animal Crossing New Horizons, Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, and Hades. I'm not necessarily... I did not play it. I did not play Last of Us Part 2, and I've never played the original Last of Us. I've not owned a PlayStation since the PlayStation 2.
I have it. I haven't played it yet.
I understand. But what do you...
that problem.
I gotcha. But what do you think, though? Like, does Last of Us Part 2 sit up there on this one? You know, do you feel like any of these other ones there? Is there something missing in this one?
In which category were we?
This is Game of the Year. This is the big award.
In Game of the Year? No, it totally fits.
Okay.
I have a feeling that there's no way I'm going to be able to fight this against Preston. He's gonna want it to be Game of the Year.
That poor guy.
The only thing is, yeah, it's one of those games that once you beat it, from what I understand, you're just drained.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I don't know, it makes you question humanity. So.
Yeah, and I think because it left it where it did at the end of the first Last of Us, specifically with how Joel was actually treating Ellie there at the end anyway, it's I guess that if that's the way that the story goes on, that it's a continuation of what had happened there and really furthers along a lot of that frustration and anger, then, so be it.
Yeah.
But what was interesting though, and the three of us talked about this in our group chat, was in Best Audio Design that Last of Us Part 2 had won it. And that Doom Eternal actually didn't win any awards here, whether it was Best Score in Music or even Best Audio Design. And I gotta say, I mean, the soundtrack in Doom
and it
Eternal
was up for it.
Yeah, and
in score too, actually, I want to say.
In both Best Score in Music and Best Audio Design. I'm surprised because Doom Eternal, that music hits exactly the way it should. I think both your more like orchestra cutscene type stuff all the way through your metal, your heavy metal, I'm going to just kill every demon possible. I think that was great. The audio design as well too is that every demon sounded unique. You knew you were being chased after something different. A chainsaw going through a demon's body. There's
one thing though with Last of Us. I mean, they have the audio down so packed, like down to the subtleties of a guitar to the 3D dynamic audio of a zombie running from one side of a area right around a corner up to you type thing. So it's hard to go against that with audio design. Score and music though, Final Fantasy, man, that soundtrack was amazing before, and what they've done with it and expanded on it with, it's phenomenal.
Fair enough, man. I'm like, it just seems like Final Fantasy VII Remake, I mean, it shouldn't be disqualified from anything here anyway. But it being a remake and it being it's the orchestras that are redoing that music from the original game. It's kind of like, okay, sure. So I'm not gonna argue with Final Fantasy VII necessarily. But again, Doom Eternal not getting anything just seems so bizarre. What was the other one here, though, that I saw that just kind of stuck out to me? Oh, yeah, let's talk about Best VR AR, because I know you've played some VR. You have your PSVR headset. I know Preston's got his, too. I know Brandon had an Oculus Quest. I've done a little bit of VR here and there, though, too. But Half-Life Alyx is what won the category. And the rest of the nominations included Dreams, Iron Man VR, Star Wars Squadrons, and The Walking Dead. Out of those 5... I honestly think Half-Life Alyx, is the right choice.
No, by far.
I think so. Far. I think Preston's talk about Iron Man VR and how it really felt, especially how, I can't remember if he said it was his cousin or his nephew or friend's kid or something like that who was playing Iron Man VR there and kind of like was really getting into it and feeling it. That's definitely a contender. Have you tried Squadrons in VR yet?
I have only played Squadrons in VR.
Okay, but does flying around in an X-Wing stack up to being Alex Vance in City 17?
See, and that's the problem. I haven't had a chance to play Half-Life Alyx yet. And I am a huge Half-Life fan. Of course, we know this. It's something I gab about constantly. But the one thing with Half-Life, and the one thing I've been looking at in particular, is it's the first VR/AR game, well, VR in particular, that actually showed the world that we can put a full-length game in VR, and it can work.
Yeah, because how many hours is Star Wars Squadrons like to play through that campaign?
Oh, not long at all. You could play it in a couple hours sitting.
Okay, and then
literally, a couple hours, like 3, maybe 4 max.
And I don't need to really say anything on Dreams. We already know how long that game is.
Yeah.
But Iron Man VR, I think that's a question I haven't actually asked Preston, was how long that game went. And I can't remember. Like, I assume that's got to be about the same. That's got to be a couple hours long. Let's see. Iron Man VR playtime. Excuse me. Around 10 hours. Well, that might have actually been before it came out. Let's see. How long to beat? I love this website.
I just had pulled that up and I just closed it when you.
Yep. So
Googled
based on 10 people submitting their results on here, 7 hours and 36 minutes to complete that game, and there's no side stuff, there's no bonus stuff. It's literally just A to B. So yeah, but at Half-Life Alyx,
I haven't had a chance to play it, so it's one of those things that just you got to set up shit to do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And this comment here from Alex says, I wonder if Epic Games Store is what motivated Valve to start making games. What is it? A game at least again. I wonder if that could be the case too, Alex. I mean, I just think that Valve had put so much investment into VR anyway with the co-development of the HTC Vive, the development of the VR environments that they had created so far. I mean, really, Oculus kind of had to play catch up with some of that stuff anyway, though, too. But honestly, I think it was about the right time for it. I think hardware finally hit a good, affordable point that people could get a decent VR experience on a PC without, it costing an arm and a leg. So I think this was about the right time for it. The Epic Games Store, maybe, but Epic doesn't really have much that's come out. Actually, I don't think Epic has anything to their name with VR other than maybe the Unreal Engine being used in some games, but I can't imagine anything else.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. I can't think of anything in particular.
Yeah. But out of all the other categories, though, I'm not necessarily opposed to a lot of these other ones. I think Animal Crossing and Best Family Game was a good pick. I think for Best Sim and Strategy Game, I think Microsoft Flight Simulator was a great choice, too. Best Multiplayer Among Us, as we talked about already. Best Sports Racing Game was, the re-release of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 2. Of course, the game you've been trying to convince me to play now, Phasmophobia, is another one, which I'm still kind of I think I'm just going to have to give up and just actually finally play that son of a bitch.
Well, and, I haven't bought it yet either, because it's one of those things I want to be able to play with people that, I know. I don't want to just get on with people I don't know, and we talked about it, being that there's the language barrier, or, not having a mic, and they still have the in-game walkie-talkies, but there's still barriers that make it less fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Well, I don't think there's I don't have any other categories to really go through here and make any other comments on. What do you think? Anything else you can think of here that needs to be talked about
I did
further?
love that Tony Hawk got the best sports game, being a remake of a game from over 20 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was
about 20 years ago.
Yeah, I think it was in pretty good contention with NBA 2K21, but the fact that FIFA 21 made it to the list, especially for the fact that it's just recycled stuff from FIFA 20, which is recycled just from FIFA 19, I'm surprised it made it. But maybe that was just that kind of year for sports games. Yeah. Anyway, so moving on in the rest of our coverage here on Game Awards stuff, though, is the announcements, the part that everybody seems to love here. First, of course, the big one of the big announcements here is that the one-winged angel himself, Sephiroth, is now joining the Super Smash Bros. Roster. I'm going to fast forward up here a little bit, though. But yeah, we are getting Sephiroth in Smash Brothers, guys.
He's gonna be so OP.
He is. I think a sword character. That's the funny part, is that it's like everybody was always talking about it, and a lot of people were hoping it's like, oh, new franchise, let's get them in there. But I think actually bringing the evil from Final Fantasy VII to be alongside the good of Final Fantasy VII, Cloud versus Sephiroth, I think that was probably coming in one way or another.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I think by far, though, at least with their fight in the cutscene and such, I think the cutscene battle is really cool. I gotta admit, I think that's especially just
I do
that.
have to wonder if Sephiroth's ultimate smash is gonna be his like one-winged angel transformation, where he turns into that big thing at the end of the video.
Yeah.
That big creature, because and since you did have it paused right there, we got to talk about that epic Mario scene.
Yeah, that by far I think is just the funniest thing, though, because every thumbnail going around for this before I actually watched the trailer was just this, and I was like, what the hell? And then of course it cuts to the point right here where of course it's Mario just like, oh yeah, but like Nintendo is going to let them let Sephiroth impale Mario in the first place in their own game.
Yeah,
but I just think that this was just awesome, though. At least I think he's a good character I'm a little surprised they didn't go the route of any other sort of like franchises that they were going to be mixing in, but yeah, very interesting take on that for sure. So it's gonna be a fun one to check out.
I'm kind of glad they added this one. I'm thinking I want to start buying all the characters. So,
and then of course a joke one from a friend of mine when I shared out the stream here. Of course, he says Jeff here says, "Sweet, I rescued the princess in Donkey Kong tonight." Followed by LOL. So, of course, he's definitely dating himself there. Anyway, carrying on, though, of course, in our trailers, we also got ourselves a surprise trailer for, or announcement trailer, at least, for Perfect Dark. I did not expect to see a Perfect Dark coming at all. The last Perfect Dark game we got was Perfect Dark Zero. Perfect Dark Zero was the launch title for the Xbox 360. And that was a cluster, so to speak. And then, of course, we had the original Perfect Dark added to the Xbox Live Arcade, and I think it's still lingering around Xbox Game Pass now as well. But the fact that we got ourselves a announcement trailer for a new Perfect Dark is actually kind of cool. You know, it's another franchise that at least Microsoft can dig into owning Rare and the assets there. So, but I don't know. I mean, it's an announcement trailer.
Favorite.
Yeah, it's a cinematic, so obviously, of course, there's not going to be a lot shown off here anyway. In regards to like what the character is going to do, I'm sure we'll probably see some stuff coming up more towards E3 2021 and some of the other events before that. But yeah, you've got a drone floating around here. What looks like probably the Middle East, or at least that's what it kind of looks like here, kind of going through just this whole different building. And then, of course, it ends up here. I'm just going to fast forward a bit with Agent Dark on the roof of this building. So
I'm just going to go ahead and pose the question right now.
Agent Dark.
Do you think they're gonna actually make it a real first-person shooter, or is it gonna have the shitty like Doom first-person controls or GoldenEye controls that the Perfect Dark Zero had?
Well, I think they're gonna. I think the way shooters have really changed, and I'm putting this at least between when Perfect Dark Zero came out and where we're at now. The big thing that shooters like to do, and I'm blaming this on Apex and Warzone and now Cyberpunk 2077, is the fast-paced gunfights in that, along with the crouch sliding. I guarantee we're going to see a lot of goddamn crouch sliding in this new Perfect Dark game.
Oh, I'm not so much concerned.
I think that's going to be the case.
There was no vertical look in Perfect Dark Zero.
Right.
Not without aiming.
Right. What I'm saying though is that I think they've learned their lesson. I think they're going to go the route of what we expect in a shooter. I think they're just going to be way heavily influenced by what shooters have become nowadays, and so you're going to see way more of these copies of weapon effect or of weapon use and combat similar to what we've seen come out since Perfect Dark Zero was originally released. So I think that's what. But yeah, I understand what you're saying.
That could be unfortunate, but time will tell.
Mm-hmm. There's no trailer actually posted here on the here on Polygon's kind of list of everything right now. But we did get kind of a teaser-ish trailer for the new Mass Effect game. Of course, it was only just recently announced about a month ago that they were working on a new one. Since the trailer's not up right now, I can't show you guys, but ultimately what the trailer has is moving through a universe, or our universe, of course, our galaxy, hearing a lot of human space travel related commentary in the background as we're navigating through space. And as we start to navigate what looks to be into our solar system, we pass by a dead mass relay. And then finally we end up landing on some type of planet here. There's a ship that lands. It could be Earth. It could be Jupiter. It could be some other planet. But it is something in our solar system, it looks like. And the ship has everybody looking around for stuff. And we see a random figure digging out a piece of what ends up being N7 armor, which we know, of course, Commander Shepard was N7. He was a Spectre. Or with the Spectre rank, of course, in the Citadel. But we finally see the figure here, of course, based on the screenshot, which I'll zoom in on here, to be Liara. Which means that this looks to be, hopefully, fingers crossed, a more direct continuation of the original, or from Mass Effect 3 versus what Mass Effect Andromeda was. That this may take place, I guess, hopefully, like, directly after the events of Mass Effect 3. So maybe, like, I'm trying to remember, because I haven't played Mass Effect in so long, Kyle. Was there anything in the lore about cloning? Was there anything in the lore about, I know that Mass Effect 2's whole point was that they recovered Commander Shepard's body floating around, and they basically rebuilt him as a mix of cybernetics and human, so he wasn't fully himself because of, kind of blowing up at the end of 1. But was there anything in the lore that was presented in the games about cloning technology?
From what little I've played, because remember, I've only played a chunk of 1, and then I just know bits and pieces about 2 and 3 from what people have told me in videos that I've watched and stuff. So I couldn't say for certain.
Okay.
But I did hear that if it is the character that you're saying, she is possibly one of like 2 or 3 characters, or maybe the only one that could have survived till the end, and definitely like one of 2 that could have only, or could have lived long enough if it depending on how long after we're looking at, because we don't know if we're looking at directly after the events of Mass Effect 3, or months after, or years, or maybe even 100 years. So
right, because Andromeda here, let me look here really quick. Let's see, Mass Effect Andromeda. Let's see, that took place. Let's see, where's the story here? Let's see, I'm trying to see how. Let's see, gameplay, plot. So Andromeda takes place between Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3. Okay, so I was mistaken. I thought Andromeda was way years, like way after the fact. Like this was to show like what had happened to humanity. So okay, so I take that back. I take that back. So it begins in 2185 between the events of Mass Effect 2 and 3. And then apparently the year 2819, following a 634-year journey. Okay, so this does take place after, so I was right. So the story starts in 2185 between 2 and 3, but then carries on after that. So okay. So no problem. So this is hundreds of years after the end of Mass Effect 3. So okay.
Yeah, so
I had to just double check.
Apparently she's like one of 2 characters that would have had the lifespan to live that long.
Mm-hmm.
To know what she's actually looking at. So
right. So yeah, if you want to go check out that trailer, it's only like a minute and a half long, but it's definitely a feel good one, especially. Of course, we got the announcement that Microsoft Flight Simulator is coming to the Xbox Series X this next summer. And I don't know why. I looked at Polygon stuff, and I thought they had the trailers for everything here. So let me just flip our cameras over here really quick, and I'm going to go bring up these trailers then. Because this trailer, I think, Kyle, you're going to be probably the most interested in, if you didn't watch it yet, was Back for Blood.
You forget, I watched the entirety of the game show last night.
You did, yeah.
So I had to watch it while it was still in live stream mode. So I had to sit through all of the pre-show as well.
All right. So you understand, though, what Back for Blood is, though, right?
Yes.
All right. So
yes, I do.
So for our audience, of course, though, for a lot of you don't know, so Back for Blood is being developed by Turtle Rock Studios, who happens to be the same company that developed and made the Left 4 Dead series. Specifically Left 4 Dead 1. I don't know how much of a hand they had in Left 4 Dead 2. I think 2 was specifically Valve, right? Or did Turtle Rock have a hand in 2?
I think it was they did 2. Valve was the first one.
I'll have to follow up on that one. But anyway, this is basically the spiritual...
I'd have to double check.
This is basically the spiritual successor to the Left 4 Dead series. And just based on what we're actually seeing here in the trailer itself, it looks just like it. I mean, it's uncanny how much it looks exactly like how much it looks like Left 4 Dead, except when I watched the trailer... because again, I couldn't watch the Game Awards last night. I'm a parent. I have kids I got to take care of. One of the things that I noticed, though, is that the zombies give me more of like that Resident Evil 4, 5 kind of vibe, where we went on past like, zombies that looked like zombies being infected, with the T virus, and then we got Ouroboros and Las Plagas. This is kind of giving me some of those vibes. That the zombies themselves have a little bit more of an organic, like an organic infection versus, them just kind of rotting away. So, I mean, if I'm wrong in that, Kyle, definitely speak up, but that's just my impression of looking at it.
No, I'm kind of getting that sense too.
Yeah. But I definitely think this looks awesome. I mean, I can't wait to see it, especially because the rendering power and the processing power has changed now, especially over the over the years since Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 were first released. But it's I just can't wait to see exactly how big these hordes can get, how big the mobs can get. Yeah, no.
Honestly, when they started panning out from the 4, I was like, is this gonna be Left 4 Dead? This looks so similar, like, except for the fact that now it's these leeches or worms or something. But man, I'm excited for it. It's gonna be really good. I feel like if you're a Left 4 Dead fan, this is gonna be one to check out.
I 100% agree, and it's definitely one on my list to get to. Carrying on here, of course, through what else was announced, we actually had a Arc 2 was announced. So, of course, we had Arc Survival End. Now we got Arc 2, which happens to...
trailer.
Yeah, which Arc 2 happens to star Vin Diesel. I'm not going to bring the trailer up on this one because by far this was actually the worst trailer, I think, out of all of them. This trailer specifically looked like stop-motion animation. I can't really unsee it. It just looked so stop motion. But it's another Arc game. It's the sequel, so keep an eye out, of course, on that one coming out. Of course, we got the teaser trailer for the next Dragon Age game as well. Not a lot necessarily to glean from it. It's a very cinematic trailer, kind of reviewing some of the things that have occurred in the other games. Of course, kind of some other things within the Dragon Age lore. But of course, this is another thing that we've actually got coming up, though, too. Especially last week in the news, we talked about, Kyle, the loss of both the executive producer for the game, and then we've also lost the creative manager or the general manager over Mass Effect. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens next with these. But if they were far enough along in the development, or at least the beginning of it all, that it may not be as bad. But who knows? I mean, I don't know. I think I'm looking forward to this one for sure. But again, it's all cinematic stuff here, so we'll just carry on. Of course, in the announcements, we got a new Among Us map announced as well. The ship here, of course, is called the Top Hat. It is as you can see there in the picture, it is an airship. The thing that we're going to be getting with it, though, of course, too, to changes with Among Us is that there are multiple levels inside the airship itself, so you can go down ladders, take little shortcuts to get around. Your standard gameplay is going to apply here, too, of course, with new jobs and tasks to complete. But one of the big things, though, that they're trying to rectify in this is the way that people group up after someone calls an emergency meeting or someone spots a body. They're now going to allow you, once that session of voting is done, to actually pick where you start out at the end of that meeting. So you're not all gathered around a table or anything. You can pick to spawn in different spots on this new map. I'm guessing it's carrying over to the new stuff too, but this is also what's coming next. So I think that's actually kind of cool to see that we're going to be getting a new map, though. Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout Season 3, of course. They're talking about the Christmas one. This comes out this next Tuesday. Yeah, the 15th. So that's the next one coming out. Of course, by far, one of the things that a lot of people have not actually been able to keep secret, Master Chief is going to Fortnite. Yeah. So
these announcements, I was just like, when it was one after another, it was like a bad 90s like cartoon mocking industry, you know. It was like, when you make this purchase, you get this and this and this and this.
Yeah, and then of course we had the joint announcement here, of course, that Blood Gulch was also going to be a Fortnite creative map. But of course, the trailer was made by Rooster Teeth, which includes Sarge and Griff, of course, talking about it. Which by far, I think this is actually really good.
Yeah.
This felt really good to actually see, though, too, when they did this. I don't know why.
Perfectly regular reasons. Whoa.
But
yeah. I don't know.
Oh, the chief got eliminated.
It's just the way that the format they announced it. It was just.
I know.
It was bizarre.
Yeah, I know. But of course, there was no real talk here about Master Chief, if it was a specific thing that only people on Xbox can play, or if we're actually going to see it platform wide. So you're gonna be able to play Master Chief on PlayStation.
That's what I was curious about.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything officially announced, or at least officially talked about, but that would be kind of funny to see. We need to kind of speed up here through some stuff, and unfortunately, the stuff we need to speed up through here is kind of getting to be some of these newer things. But of course, we got a new trailer for It Takes Two, trailer for Season, Road 96, Open Roads. Evil West looks interesting, which Evil West looks to be a cross of some sort of cowboy drama or cowboy fantasy, where it takes kind of like the world of Red Dead Redemption, but then mixes it with vampires. So we'll see how that one pans out. The one, though, that
Endless Dungeon looked really cool.
Endless Dungeon does actually look really cool as well. The Callisto Protocol, again, don't have a trailer here for it, but Callisto Protocol is actually being developed by former devs from the Dead Space realm. So this is actually, if you go watch that trailer, it really, really gives off that Dead Space feel to it. And the whole point that they're trying to push across it, that I was reading a separate article about it, is that they are looking to really scare the crap out of you even more. And I think the way games have gone lately, especially in the world of horror, they're going to really try to up the ante from what they did in the other 3 Dead Space games.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's a trailer to check out for sure. Swedish Chef from the Muppets is coming to Overcooked. That's a little one here. There were some more trailers that don't look like they've actually been included on the list itself, but again, in the interest of time, because we're literally almost actually at the end of our regular time, but we still got stories to cover anyway. All the other trailers of things that were announced and talked about are, of course, up on YouTube. You can also get to them through a bunch of the different websites that we reference for our news stories as well, too. Kotaku, GameSpot, IGN, they all have their bigger lists too. So, but yeah, please make sure to just go check all that stuff out. All really good stuff. But now, in the grand scheme of news, we actually move on into our first real story here. And of course, we're talking about Cyberpunk. And of course, Kyle and Kyle, you're playing it, right?
No,
you're not playing it.
I did not pick it up. Yeah,
Okay.
no.
I've got it. You don't have it yet. That's fine. I won't say anything about it, other than massive amounts of peen everywhere. Just massive amounts of dongers everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, that's just whatever. But anyway, so
yeah, I want to get it. I want to get it, but it's the glitches that are holding me up. So,
I will say, compared to Preston, who has been having all kinds of trouble with Ghost Runner, I have not had a game crash yet. I have not. The only glitch I had that really kind of frustrated me a little bit last night. Actually, it's two glitches. One was with a gun that I had in my hand, and I can't remember what the move was that I did. I think I was like trying to crouch behind something. For some reason, the gun model disappeared out of my hand, and every time I tried to like shoot, my hands would just like twitch, like it was holding a gun but not doing anything. And so I had to get into my weapon menu and then select something different, and then I could, and then everything was just fine. And then I stole a motorcycle and was riding that around. And for some reason, at one point after I slowed down to try to just put it in a parking space so I just have it out of NPCs' way, it would for some reason stutter, like it would not move until I actually put it in reverse and then would move forward. But it was only in one small location that did it. So I think it was clipping with something that hadn't properly loaded into the game, like I didn't see, but there was like a model or something there.
Well, and see, I had heard that everything has glitches, but the worst ones of it are gonna be, of course, the first gen Xbox and the first gen PlayStation, and then that's gonna be the worst play you're gonna get, and then up from that is gonna be the previous gen units. So if you have even a Pro unit or an X, they can't perform on it as well as what what a PC can do and what a next gen console can do currently. So
okay, no, that's but there is a couple things to talk about with Cyberpunk. We're going to start with this first one. We got two stories on Cyberpunk, but we'll kind of talk about some of the other stuff though too as we go on in here. But let's talk about this first story here from Engadget. Cyberpunk 2077 sets a Steam record with 1 million concurrent players. It more than doubled Fallout 4's 2015 record for a single-player game. Cyberpunk 2077 has some interesting glitches on launch, but those haven't dissuaded anyone from playing it. The title set a new record for the largest number of simultaneous players in a single-player game, with a record 1,003,262 playing just after the December 10th launch, according to Steam database. That tops the previous Steam record of 472,962 players set by Fallout 4 back in 2015. Since Cyberpunk, Jesus Christ, it has been that kind of day. Cyberpunk, that's the sequel. Anyway, so Cyberpunk 2077 is also available on GOG and Epic Games, along with Stadia and GeForce Now. That number doesn't fully capture every PC player either. And of course, it doesn't take into account anyone playing it on a console. The game took Steam down completely for a short while just after launch, prompting a CD Projekt Red developer to tweet, "Wow, the hype is real." By way of comparison, it's currently beating out multiplayer games like Counter-Strike, PUBG, and Dota 2, which I gotta look at this. That's really about it on that front. But let's take a look actually at the report here. Current players right now are 764,463. with a peak in the last 24 hours of 985,000. Let's take a look at, let's see, let's go to charts. And yeah, oh my God. Cyberpunk 2077 is currently beating Counter-Strike by over 300,000 right now.
Wow.
Yeah, so for anybody here on our stream here, anybody watching who may not be able to properly see that, those are some pretty shocking splits. But again, it's only counting for those who actually have it purchased through Steam and are actually playing it there. So yeah, but that's just, one place you can get it. But yeah, that is, wow, that's crazy to actually see.
That's insane.
Yeah. It's not a surprise though necessarily, but it's been a very expected game. And the fact that it's now finally out and people can play it, of course, outside of all the glitches, of course, too, it's yeah, it's just crazy. But man, cool for that. I'm really hoping to see some more glitch fixes. I will tell you though, Kyle, I know your gaming laptop is not up to snuff for things right now for actually regular gaming.
No.
You're still going to be planning on building a gaming PC. So I'm guessing your plan right now is to maybe go new console or wait till your new PC's built.
I'm probably gonna wait till my new PC's built.
Okay.
Because this is one I'd want to pick up on PC anyway.
Okay. Well, I was playing it. So where I'm playing it at right now for our audience, of course, is I have a Ryzen 7 2700X with a Sapphire Pulse Radeon RX 5700 XT. So the last generation top tier model, because now the 6000 series GPUs are out if you can get one. So that's what I'm playing on right now. And I'm playing without having really tweaked anything. I'm playing at 1440p Ultra at about 30 frames per second. I'm not really against the 30 frames per second. I feel like the little bit of the slowdown kind of actually offers a really unique experience to the game itself. I don't know why. There's something about the Cyberpunk side of things that, like, when you're seeing things a little bit lower on the frame rate side, I don't know why. It seems to give that Cyberpunk type vibe. I don't know, because I think it's because you expect everything, there's all the hacking going on, there's all the cybernetic implants and that, and you think it's like, okay, things aren't going to be the best, sometimes with the things you get into. So that's kind of where I'm at. But before we started recording, I downloaded MSI Afterburner. I'm going to monitor stats as I change around some of the stuff when we're done streaming, just to see where things are at. But yeah, I am very curious to see exactly how things will change as I tweak the rest of the settings. So Kyle, that's kind of the one thing you're going to have to look forward to is tweaking your settings to the best of your ability, because 4K,
I know.
4K Ultra on an RTX 3080 drops its frame rate to about 46 frames per second. So I don't know if you're going to go that high.
That's not necessarily a bad thing on some games. So.
On some games, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but
it all kind of depends.
Yeah, but I didn't pick those settings though. Like, the game defaulted to 1440p Ultra.
Have you gone into the bathroom yet?
Like, actually gone into a bathroom and used said bathroom?
Yeah.
So I got curious about it to see if that was something you could do. And so in one part of a mission, I was in a nightclub and I was able to, I was already done with what I needed to do. I was like moving on to the next part. So I walked into a bathroom there, but I had nothing to prompt or mess with or use or anything. I was just in there.
See, and I've heard that if you walk into the bathroom, like in your apartment or something, there's seashells on your toilet. If you get my drift.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, yeah. I will check. I will confirm.
I can send you a picture through Messenger, because my brother sent it to me, but apparently it's in game.
And Alex comments, of course, that he says he'll be playing it, of course, as soon as it's done downloading. So yeah, make sure you really look at what it defaults your settings on if you're playing on PC, because if your PC is not built with some more recent stuff, you're going to need to really tweak some things here for sure. That is no lie.
Oh, yeah.
What do you got? Did you send it? No, you didn't.
Yeah, I sent it via. Yeah, I sent it via Facebook.
Well, let's see. Is that it right there? Did you send it directly to me, or did you send it to the entire group?
To the group.
God damn it. Okay, Jesus Christ. I guess I will have to go look. Kyle, thanks for that. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. I only hope they've glitched out. All right. Well, let's move on to the next part of our talk about
I don't know.
Cyberpunk. Jeez. Again, it has been one of those days. I'm going to tell you guys before we started the live stream, it's snowing here in our town. And of course, I got dogs. You guys hear them a lot, especially when I'm getting towards the end of it, because they run all over the place. Our backyard is kind of a dirt pit, and so of course, when it rains or snows, it becomes a mud pit. I did not have on my daily bingo card give the dogs a bath at 6:45 in the evening. So I was like, damn it. So yeah, I had to bathe both dogs. I had the kids help, I had to clean up everything else though too. I still got to carpet clean the floor, but that's probably gonna end up being like tomorrow. So yeah, anyway, so if I jumble up any more stuff, I'm blaming that. I'm blaming that, and that I need to sink some more time into Night City. But anyway, so continuing on, of course, in our other one, I felt that out of all the stories that have come out so far about Cyberpunk 2077, this next one was probably one of the more important ones for us to cover. So Kyle, talk to us about this one here from Games Radar. Xbox commits to improve our certification process after Cyberpunk 2077's seizure-inducing sections. Tagline here, of course, says Microsoft will continue to work with members of the gaming and disability community.
Following the reveal of Cyberpunk 2077's potentially seizure-inducing light patterns, Microsoft has recommitted to accessibility options and guidelines for games on Xbox. Creating a place that is safe and inclusive is a priority for us, a Microsoft spokesperson told Games Radar. That's why we publish and share our accessibility guidelines with all of our gaming partners. We continue to work on partnership with other publishers, industry experts, and members of the gaming and disability community to evolve and improve our certification process, and we encourage all players to review warnings on all games, the statement concluded. The statement comes after Cyberpunk 2077 was found to include light patterns in a portion of gameplay critical to advancing the main plot that could cause seizures in players with epilepsy. After a Game Informer staff member reported having a seizure due to the light patterns, developer CD Projekt Red added a new warning message to the PC version of Cyberpunk 2077 and is now currently working on a more permanent solution to the problem. The this led to many to wonder how the light patterns had made it through Xbox and PlayStation's certification process in the first place. Microsoft's statement certainly points to changes being made behind the scenes to the certification process to account for epileptic light patterns that could induce seizures in vulnerable players. Yeah.
I think that's the biggest one, of course. Just to kind of summarize some of the other things going on, of course, we've got the glitches. There's some concerns from the transgender community about the representation of them in the game, especially in some parts of the character creator. There are some NPCs in there that, or not NPCs necessarily, but there's some of the artwork in the game, of course, that kind of kind of feels like it makes fun of or overplays on what being transgender is. That's another problem, of course. There's all the glitches, of course, though, too.
The genitalia glitch is
there's the genitalia glitch where people who decide to give themselves either a massive donger, either give themselves a massive donger or they give themselves massive boobs. Unfortunately, that stuff actually clips through the materials you're wearing. If you wanted to, you could go full Ken doll or Barbie doll and just have everything nice and flat if you wanted. But even so, that's another thing, though, and hopefully we'll actually see some more of that patch stuff. I will say, out of everything I've been able to look at so far, I have not seen the issue yet. But if I see it, I'll, Kyle, I can give you a heads up on it. But I think in the grand scheme of what's been going on with Cyberpunk, this is definitely, I think, one of the biggest things, though, is that Microsoft and Sony and even CD Projekt Red had nothing there included at all about talking about the possibility for seizures because of the strobing light effects, which are everywhere in this game. I mean, you're talking about the overuse of lens flare. There are parts of it that look like a J.J. Abrams movie. You're talking about going into the nightclubs. You're talking about the gunfire as well, though, too. So, yeah, this was a big oversight on on both of their sides. And yeah, I will say is that like when my game installed, let's see, what was it? When my game installed, it did have it built in there. So they patched that pretty quick then. Because when I downloaded it and was able to actually play the day before. But this story came out only just yesterday. So yeah. But hopefully they've learned from this and we won't have anything like that again, because it is a shame to see that someone actually was affected by this, excuse me. So yeah, Jesus Christ. But anyway, we carry on actually to our next one here. And this one, let's see, I think I got the story stuff here mixed up, but you know what? That's whatever. Let's see here. I'll just go ahead and go to this. I wouldn't be surprised if I got stuff in the actual, screen clips mixed up here. I can't remember. Oh yeah, because it was a mix of that. Okay, so I'm on this link. Let me make sure I'm at the right spot, Kyle. There we go. Yeah, okay. I mixed up the thumbnails. Like, dude, it was all last minute crap. Fired. I'm done. You can replace me. All right. So this next story here is, as you can see, the nice big purple copyright symbol here. I'm sure you probably know where this is going. Is talking about some more fun stuff in the world of Twitch streamers and, of course, chaos with copyrights. However, it doesn't mean this is anything that's going to happen now, but it could happen later here. So it's reported on by Kotaku. Proposed U.S. law could slap Twitch streamers with felonies for broadcasting copyrighted material. And, of course, this actually does kind of expand to a lot of other people. The United States government is, as we all know, extremely functional. It's so functional, in fact, that it regularly struggles to pass spending bills in order to prevent itself from shutting... Okay, I'm not even going to... Okay, I'm going to leave that part alone there because we don't need to really get into the other politics of things. Carrying on, though, according to Politico Offshoot Protocol, the felony streaming proposal is the work of Republican Senator Tom Tillis, who has backed similar proposals previously. It is more or less exactly what it sounds like, a proposal to turn unauthorized commercial streaming of copyrighted material. Progressive policy publication, The American Prospect, specifically points to examples like an album on YouTube, a video clip on Twitch, or a song in an Instagram story into a felony offense with a possible prison sentence. Currently, such violations, no matter how severe, are considered misdemeanors rather than felonies because the law regards streaming as a public performance. With Twitch currently in the crosshairs of the music industry, such a change would turn up the heat on streamers and Twitch even higher, perhaps to an untenable degree. Other platforms like YouTube would almost certainly suffer as well. A felony streaming bill would likely be a chill on expression. Catherine Trendacosta, Associate Director of Policy and Activism with the Electronic Frontier Foundation, told The American Prospect, "We already see that it's hard enough in just civil copyright and the DMCA for people to feel comfortable asserting their rights. The chance of a felony would impact both expression and innovation." According to Protocol, House and Senate Judiciary Committees have agreed to package the streaming felony proposal with other controversial provisions that include the CASE Act, which would establish a new court-like entity within the U.S. Copyright Office to resolve copyright disputes, and the Trademark Modernization Act, which give the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office more flexibility to crack down on illegitimate claims from foreign countries. Wow. I mean, that's a pretty big thing here right now. That's kind of a big issue to look at, especially the fact that, like, would this mean that streaming would just be dead? Because technically video games, even as a public performance, are still copyrighted material. I mean, you're not going to see anybody, you're not going to be able to see anybody come out and say specifically that, how do I want to put this? Sorry, I'm trying to check my cameras here because I heard something really weird. You're going to see a lot of people who are going to have to actually apply. This was kind of something we talked about several weeks ago with the director for Stadia, talking about like getting a broadcasting license for being able to like stream games. This kind of leans heavily into some of that stuff too, and that's pretty obscene. I mean, I know for us streaming right now too, of course, doing the news. Does that mean that we're going to have to get a license to show anything that we are right now? I mean, am I going to get in trouble with my Legend of Zelda poster here behind me or the Xbox Series Xbox sitting up on here? I've got an Under Armour shirt on. Is that going to get me in trouble here too? It's like, because that is all copyright material stuff, but like, and trademarked. So that affects a lot of shit.
I'm wearing a May shirt. Am I allowed to wear that. So.
Exactly. So it's interesting to see exactly where this goes. It's just interesting what's going to happen if this does make it through. But I think what you're probably going to see is that if this law does get pushed through, I'm sure you're going to see a lot of lawsuits against it, which I wouldn't be surprised if it actually makes its way up to the Supreme Court. Because when the DMCA was originally created, I think was what, 90, what wasn't DMCA 99? I think DMCA was 1998.
I thought it was. Yeah, I was going to say it was earlier than that.
Yeah, it was protection for such. Yeah, it was a 1998 United States copyright law that implements two 1996 treaties of the World Intellectual Property Organization.
See, and I thought it was when they did this 1996 treaties. So.
Yeah. So the Copyright Act itself, the DMCA. I'm looking at Wikipedia here right now. It criminalizes production and dissemination of technology, devices, or services intended to circumvent measures that control access to copyrighted works, commonly known as DRM. It also criminalizes the act of circumventing an access control, whether or not there is an actual infringement of copyright itself. So that means that, at least in a nutshell here, it means basically you're selling services that break DRM. Or you're circumventing DRM by, like if you download a game or something, or download a song and you share it out there, the DRM has already been basically broken by you paying for it, but, it carries on everything else. So it's interesting. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what that affects, if anything. But I'm really hoping that it doesn't actually push through. That's the last thing I think any of us need, for sure. And if it does happen, this won't happen anymore. What's going to happen with the podcast? There's a lot of things at stake for this. So, yeah, fair use really just gets balled up and thrown out the window. Oh, God. All right, well, let's move on to some other depressing news here, of course, too.
Yeah. Thanks for ruining the night, buddy.
Yeah, damn it. All right. Let's talk about our next story here, of course, though, and of course, it's got to be about a game that I love, and very excited to see, of course, is Halo Infinite. Coming to us from The Verge. Let me actually get back here. I need to buy an Elgato. Kyle, just send me the money to buy an Elgato, okay? So I can switch scenes faster. So this story comes to us from The Verge. Halo Infinite is officially launching fall. God damn it. Fall of 2021. What is going on here with this? You gonna tell us, Kyle, or am I reading this one?
Oh, yeah.
It's your turn. It's your turn.
Pull it up.
Get faster internet.
Yeah.
Get yourself some faster internet. Pedal faster.
I'm sorry, my internet is shit here. I don't know what it is, but
it's all good.
So Halo Infinite, the next game in Microsoft's iconic franchise, will officially launch in fall 2021. Developer 343 Industries announced in a blog post on Tuesday. The game was originally supposed to launch alongside the Xbox Series X and S in November, but it was delayed to 2021 in August due in part to challenges created by the COVID-19 pandemic. Since Microsoft hasn't specified a month or day, the fall 2021 window could effectively mean the game gets delayed as much as an entire year from its original release date. Microsoft did demo Halo Infinite during its July Xbox Series X game showcase, but received some criticism for the graphics and visuals shown during the demo. Dead-eyed enemies shown then even spawned the now famous Craig meme. In Tuesday's blog post, 343 Industries said that it's working hard to create the best-looking Halo game ever, and spend some time developing or delving into graphics specifically, according to creator Joseph Staten. It's already possible to play through the entire campaign. So much of the work remaining is polishing, fixing bugs, and multiplayer.
Yeah, fun stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm actually surprised here. So I actually read through the entire blog post here, and I'm going to pull this up here to show our audience as well. But I read through the entire blog post here, and so far, because it's one thing I've actually been thinking about, and I don't know if it's crossed your mind either. We have there was no mention of any sort of battle royale mode coming to Halo. So there was nothing talked about in here saying that's what they were focusing on, or at least that's like, hey, this is also coming up too. But it doesn't leave it out of the realm of possibility. Of course, they're taking all that feedback and realizing, okay, we've got to do some extra work. And they actually go into greater detail in here about kind of like how, like, what they learned from the feedback from that gameplay demo back from July. So there's a lot of that with it. But of course, in the blog, of course, I can't keep saying it. I gotta stop saying that. In the blog, they also actually share out some screenshots from some things in multiplayer as well, though, too, or at least one of the maps that they're working on, which I gotta say, compared to some of the stuff that we saw in the gameplay trailer, this looks next gen. This actually looks very, very gorgeous. We've also got some looks at some of the new, or at least refreshed models for some weapons that we all know and love. We got the rocket launcher here, of course. We got the sniper rifle, which I gotta say, that sniper rifle, that looks great. I like, that looks so pretty. I'm really just excited to be able to actually see what that's like. I'm just hoping they keep some of those original sounds for sure and don't really change things up, because I know in the gameplay trailer they had some different sounds, especially for the Warthog. Of course, looking at the multiplayer stuff, though, too, the lighting and reflections off of stuff looks great. And then, of course, they also talked about the customization of your character as well, though, too, your Spartan. As we're going into a Halo game anyway, with multiplayer, you're always going to be able to change the color and armor set and so on of your character itself, of your multiplayer character. So that is all making a comeback. They are trying to add some additional oomph to it as well. But I gotta say, these models, and they all look great. These all look like what I would expect to see for a next gen Halo game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And of course, the last thing that we're left off here with too is this concept art, which I don't know if this is actually going to be a part of anything that we're going to see in Halo, like if this is actually be a level itself. But hopefully, with the way the concept art is going direction-wise, this looks like, I know this is just straight up art, but this is gonna, like, this would be a really cool looking level for sure to be able to actually play on. But that was really kind of the whole fun part there. It's just, man, fall. Dude, we gotta wait a whole other year basically to be able to play this damn game. I guess that's okay. I got ODST to beat on the Xbox again, and Halo Reach to beat again, and the rest of the Master Chief Collection to play to see what that looks like on the Series X. But then I got Cyberpunk to play. I gotta pick up Hades to play. I still gotta beat Doom before the end of the year. I do have 2 weeks of PTO. I should just take 2 straight weeks off of work and just tell my wife, just, hey, I'm just playing games. I got a back catalog I got to catch up on before the end of the year here. Just let me do my thing.
You know what? Good luck with that, buddy. Good luck with that. See how that turns out.
Kids.
See how much
you
that
take
you
the,
actually
you take the time
get yourself.
Yeah, I'd probably be sleeping on the couch, and she'd probably have taken the power cables away from everything. So, yeah, I'll let you know how that goes if I can. Anyway, so now we're moving on here, of course, to our last story of tonight. And of course, I made a thumbnail that feels rather appropriate for this one, though, too. This last story for us tonight is directly from the Xbox news blog, and this is talking to us about what is going on now, of course, a month after launch of the Xbox Series S and X. And specifically, the thing that we wanted to look at here was down here towards the bottom. Of course, a couple things to talk about, at least in their stats. 1.6 million seamless upgrades delivered to Xbox Series X and S owners with smart delivery. 40% of you joining Xbox for the first time are playing on Series S. That's not a surprise. One of the fastest Xbox Series X and S markets out of 40-plus launch regions. Europe was the big one. During November, Xbox Game Pass members played more of their favorites, including Destiny 2, Beyond Light, Rainbow Six Siege, Tetris Effect Connected, Jedi Fallen Order with EA Play on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which that's another game on my back catalog that I need to finish up too. They did finally announce saying that cloud gaming with Game Pass Ultimate will be coming to iOS and PC this next year, sometime around the spring. Of course, on the iOS side, we've talked about in the news, we're going to be seeing that as some sort of like web front that you're going to navigate to a web page to be able to play it instead of an actual application. And of course, the section to really look at here is what has so far been announced that's coming out on the Xbox Series S and X in 2021. The thing to focus on here with this is that every single one of these games on here, save for, only 2 of these games are first-party new titles. Halo Infinite and Psychonauts 2. That is it. No mention of the Elden Ring game, I think, that was coming out. No mention of the new game from, I think Elden Ring was the Rare game that's coming out. No mention of anything from Bethesda with the new Elder Scrolls. Just really not much that's been talked about so far that's coming out this year. Everything else are on the list. They've got 4 listed here, of course. They've got the Medium, the Gunk, Warhammer 40,000, Dark Tide, and Exomecha as console launch exclusives. So that's going to be a timed thing. Then we'll see it release on other platforms. But everything else is out everywhere else. That's the thing. For right now, it's there's really not a lot coming to the Xbox this year that is directly related, or this coming year, so far as we know, that is directly developed in-house. And that is a fucking shame.
Yeah.
Unless
honestly,
they just drop a bunch of stuff and just say, hey, here you go. Here you go. Here's like 5 games that we developed in-house that are all brand new.
Now's a really good time to build a computer.
No kidding. Trust me.
Like,
I was pricing some parts to upgrade my CPU and motherboard, and
I mean, if you're not a PC player and you've thought about getting into PC, I would say now would be the time to get into PC, because you're going to have access to all these Xbox Game Pass games, and then you'll have, access to the cloud gaming service. So, I mean, it's definitely something to think about. And,
Agreed.
It just makes sense at this point, because Phil Spencer has said so many times that the whole console tribalism thing, it's going to be a way of the past, and he's already making that push with PC. So
right,
I can see there being here in the next couple years games that are more tailored to the console experience of play. But right now, definitely would be a time to build a PC, because you're still going to be able to take advantage of a lot of this stuff.
Absolutely.
In fact, if it's Xbox, all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I, as a PC owner and as an Xbox Series X owner, I'm able to get a large chunk of games on PC that I can play. I mostly, like, for a few of the games I played, I didn't play on console because I knew my Xbox original gen, like Xbox One, was going to be a kind of like the actual hang up on trying to play some stuff. So that's why I knew, at least, it's like if I could download games on my PC over here, I'd be in a better spot. And sure as hell, paying $15 a month to be able to download those games really, really helped. I was able to play some stuff that I didn't actually expect to play. The fact that I could get Master Chief Collection there and play Halo Reach on PC was cool without having to buy anything different, but I could also download it on the console at the same time. It's awesome to have. And I think that's why we're going to see her probably in the near future. It's funny to say this. The way the industry is going right now with paid subscriptions to everything, with the way that everything has to be integrated with something, I wouldn't be surprised at the end of the day to actually see Samsung selling a smart TV that has the Xbox Game Pass app loaded onto it, and then you just sync up your Xbox controller with Bluetooth, and you just play Xbox games right there on your 4K TV without having to plug anything else
Well,
in.
you think about it. Phil Spencer has already talked about the possibility of being just the Xbox stick, and it works exactly like, Google, a Chromecast, essentially. That there's also the possibility of, an even smaller console that, just has the processing unit in it that, it's not one of the Nook units, but it's one of the ones that hooks to the back of the monitor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, so a Nook would be a good example.
But yeah, a Nook would be a good example. One of the Intel Nooks, something that's just real small that only has to do some of the processing.
Well, that's why it's like this is why I was talking about it last year. So when we were talking about when we did our looking forward to 2020 episode last year, kind of saying, here's what we're looking forward to, here's what we're expecting to see. I brought up the idea about the Xbox Series X being powerful enough to actually be a dual use system, that it was going to be built like a gaming PC that was split partitioned, so that way you had your secure Xbox partition on it that would allow you to play your Xbox games. It was completely locked down. They've got the security built into it that doesn't allow anybody access to that partition. But then another part of it, though, would be partitioned off to act as a Windows PC. Something that, just like they sell their Surface Books, their Surface Pros, they control the hardware in that. It'd be the same thing here, that Microsoft is basically selling a tower PC now that just happens to be an Xbox branded PC. I think that's kind of the next thing. And I like your idea on the Nook, because that crossed my mind as I'd finished up the article. So Intel at CES either last year or at the beginning of this year announced a special Nook module that had everything built into it. I think it had more like a laptop processor on it, but it had the slots for RAM and an M.2 slot. You basically seed it into its own chassis, and it slots into what looks like a PCI Express slot. And then all you need to do is, like I said, you add in your own RAM, your own storage, you add in your graphics card.
I think I saw one of these guys. Yeah.
And Razer sells one right now called the Tomahawk.
Yeah. The Tomahawk just launched last month.
Yeah, and unfortunately it's got a processor that is I think the 9th gen series Intel, so it's definitely a little
Razer
behind.
And it's way overpriced.
Exactly.
So.
But I'm saying, though, is that could be Microsoft's next push forward, though, is instead it's just here's a.
But it doesn't even need to be that powerful, I'm talking about, think about this though too. We had something that the PlayStation TV. It was basically a Vita that was a tiny ass box that plugged into your TV. I'm talking about something like that, Raspberry Pi sized. That it just you're just streaming the Xbox games, but it's just assisting in some of the processing power and, being a buffer point for the stream.
Right. So the counterpoint, though, on the Vita TV is that it was literally a PlayStation Vita stripped down and put into a case that was made for sitting on an entertainment center, and then had a cartridge slot so you could actually put the Vita game in and the proprietary storage. But it also opened it up so that
it had a Wi-Fi card in it, I think.
Well, like I said, it's basically the Vita hardware stripped out and just put into a desktop or a case to be put on an entertainment center. But of course, it also leveraged the fact that it's okay, it worked with PlayStation Now, so you could hook up a DualShock 4 controller to it and play games over PlayStation Now, using the Vita interface. So that was something there. So you might be on the right track, but I think the only way we're going to see a lot of that trend is if the next release of the Xbox Series line, whatever comes after the X and S, I think it's going to be a diskless version of the Xbox Series X with a performance boost, whether it's something that they changed in the code or the BIOS or something, or by some crazy chance they were able to actually work out a whole new chipset with AMD for both, the revision to Big Navi and the new Zen 3, like the bump up, whatever Zen 3's architecture is going to be, in the next year. Is it going to be Zen 3.5? Are we going to be looking at Zen 4? Are we going to see that type of spec bump, but they're going to go diskless and really kind of start that transition way that says, well, this is where we're at now. This is what you're going to be seeing. And then it might go that way where we're going to start seeing the hardware go from this behemoth of a console, like my Series X sitting over here, to what you're talking about. Where we're going to see a Nook-sized Xbox that has all the horsepower that it needs to play these games, and it doesn't take up much space, and then finally start going that route to everything being on the cloud, and you're literally just plugging a Chromecast type device that's branded as Xbox into the back of your TV.
Right.
It seems like we're trending down that path because they're not making much money on the hardware. And obviously, of course, it's all in recurring subscriptions. So that's the way the industry is going for everything. That's why you're seeing so many companies going to streaming services now, both for games, for music, for television, for audiobooks, for whatever.
You can get a subscription service for everything. I mean, you can get a subscription service for shaving shit. So
you can, exactly. The Loot Crate stuff was a good example for that. I mean, you got good stuff out of it, but it was just like, okay, yeah, exactly.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Exactly. So everything is going to service as a service, honestly. You don't really own anything. You are just quite renting stuff in the ether, which is kind of the way the next thing goes. And thus, that's why my thumbnail looks the way it does right now, of course, with the crying woman in comic book form behind, all of this. And, she's upset just as much as I am. That's why I made it like that, too. But anyway, that was enough on that one, of course. And I cut over to the wrong scene there anyway. So you guys saw a nice black bar there from our... where our Chrome display normally is at. But, oh, man. But that definitely is everything for the news this week. There was a lot more that I'm sure probably happened. Of course, Cyberpunk 2077 ate up everything in the news this week. It just has not stopped. I mean, you're talking like for every three...
Cyberpunk and the Game Awards.
Cyberpunk and the Game Awards. Yeah, it's like for every three articles you'd see for Cyberpunk, you'd see one thing for something else. And usually that something else was something Game Awards, and then you'd have something further going on along though too. But anyway, so with all of that said, I actually did promise you guys this one though too. I need to bring that up. Dang it, Kyle. It's your fault. No, it's not actually your fault. You're all right. Nah, you're okay. It's my fault. I said I was going to do this. I need to open this up. I already closed out all my other Chrome stuff, which is why I need to look at it. So since we are at the end of our episode here for today, our news here, of course, coming up this next week, we have our week 2 of the year. And on this coming week, we are going to be talking about the best music, best soundtrack, and best score in a video game. And also talking about worst or most disappointing game of 2020. So there's going to be 2 great episodes to check out. Of course, this past week, like we said at the beginning, we did Best New Game and, of course, Best Art Direction. So please make sure to check those ones out on your favorite podcast platform of choice. Mine right now is Google Podcasts. Spotify is probably one of the better options right now, though, too. But I did happen to notice that TuneIn, of all of the platforms, is actually by far the second fastest one, or third fastest one to actually have it, going from Anchor to Spotify to TuneIn. It seems to be one of the fastest ones to get it. So those are the ones to check out for sure. Anyway, our main home, of course, is on anchor.fm/the-NPCs-podcast for all of our stuff that we do. Of course, if you're watching us here on YouTube, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're watching us on Facebook, please make sure to hit that like button, so that way you see when everything goes up, of course, though, too. Kyle, as always, thank you for joining me. I truly appreciate it, as always.
Absolutely.
And, of course, thank you to you, the audience, of course, for tuning in on this week's news live stream. We will catch you guys all next week.
Laters.